Hi, everyone. This is Amy Major with Spirit Rescue Talk. I have an amazing guest with me today, and I was really excited to have her on because she has a wealth of knowledge and a new book coming out, which we definitely want to talk about. It's Kerrie Erwin. She is a medium, rescue medium, and a wonderful, wonderful presenter of rescue mediumship, and we have a lot to discuss today. So I just want to invite her on. Hello, Kerrie. How you doing?
Hello, and thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you on the show. I know we were talking for a little bit about rescue mediumship. And as I've discussed this on the show many times before, it's a very hard subject to talk about, especially in spirituality, in mediumship, in the spiritualist churches. But it's really up and coming. We have so many new students and so many people coming into the field.
Well, in Australia, it's very common to have spirit rescue mediums because the spirit rescue medium is someone who has the right spirit team, whereas other mediums don't have the spirit rescue team.
Right.
They don't have the right guides.
What do you mean by the right spirit rescue team? I know people.
Well, for example, you can be a medium, doesn't necessarily mean you can do rescue work. We all have different talents.
Right.
Like, for example, I've used to work with murder cases. And I have to say, that's not my forte. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable because I find the spirit, especially children, are too traumatized to communicate to you where they are. Okay,
right.
Where the bodies are. So I found it, and also people involved, it's too stressful for me. So I found I was very, very good at spirit rescue because I discovered I could do spirit rescue when I was 17. I went to the spiritualist church here in Australia. I grew up on the South Coast and I didn't understand what was going on. And the medium said to me, she was an English medium, she said, you will be doing two types of mediumship. She said, rescue work and mediumship. She said, because you have the spiritual team that you work with. And later on through trance, and I used to run trance classes for years, I know all my guides and who they are, and I know who the rescue guides are.
So the spiritualist medium came and told you about rescue mediumship. It's not as common in, like, I know the UK and the United States, where the spiritualist churches don't.
It's only because I feel it's an ignorance in a way, because they try and brush it off, which I find quite astounding, because I'm quite open to all types of spiritual phenomena, because you never know it all. You're constantly learning. But spirit rescue came to me when I was younger, because I used to have spirits that used to torment me as a kid of a night time. They used to poke their fingers into me when I was asleep. They used to try and suffocate me, and they didn't understand me when I was trying to ask them what they wanted. It's like I was talking to myself. Whereas the other type, like if you see your grandfather, your grandmother, or your dead cousin, you can feel the energy. It's a more loving energy, and they actually give you messages and you can talk to them. Whereas the lost souls are confused. Very confused, and they're sort of living in an astral world. So they can't communicate because they often don't know they're dead. So there's two types. I was getting both types when I was younger, and I went to the church when I was 17 when I got my license, and the English medium said, "Oh, Kerrie, you're going to be working with two types of medium." She told me. So luckily then I realized what it was. I was working with two types, and then she showed me how to get rid of the lost souls.
Did anybody describe what rescue mediumship was to you, and were you hesitant to do it?
Only when she explained to me what it was, because I was telling her the different types. Like the ones that were confused, they just stood next to the bed and stuck their fingers in me or tried to suffocate my head every night. You could hear them. First of all, the footsteps. I was traumatized as a kid. And then there's the other type. I'd be sitting at the dinner table, and it was actually like having a seance at my parents' table, because all the dead relatives had come in. Like I could see her mother standing next to her. I go, "Mum, did your mother die of a heart attack?" And she went, "Yeah, how do you know?" And I said, "Well, she just said you need to go on a diet because you eat too much." Like I get messages, and I'd describe her. She go, "That's my mother." And then she'd pop out again.
Wow.
But the lost souls would actually stay in the house and wouldn't go away. They would torment me. Wow. And the people in the house, because they need to cipher off our energy to stay here. So you can have problems in your house. Your house will generally be very cold. Things will go wrong, electricity, wrappings, knocking on the wall, all the different types of phenomena when you have a lost soul, which is very different to a loved one that's crossed over and pops in and wants to say hello and give a message of love, or in my mother's case, a warning.
Right. Absolutely. We see so many
So there's
reasons
two
why
types.
they do. But
Yeah.
do you notice that there's spirits that are aware that they've passed? They are
Mhm.
dead. They haven't moved into the light, but they're staying back for personal reasons.
Correct.
They're not
Well,
willing.
first of all, you tell them they're dead. I
Mm,
always tell them they're dead. Bring down the light, say, go into the light, you're dead, you don't have a purpose here. And they might start talking about they're still sorry for what they did to their son or their mother, or you can open up a dialogue. Often because they've done a bad thing. It could be a fear, they're too scared to cross, could be, they did something bad,
right.
that sort of thing. You can communicate with them still like you can with a loved one on the other side.
Do you ever find that any of them are intimidating, hard to deal with?
I'm quite ferocious. Because I've been doing it my whole life, I don't take any crap. I'll
Right.
talk to them very sternly. And also, my experience was with drugs and murder cases.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw some terrible dark types, menacing, creepy, dark, malevolent. And it just made me more. So I call him the Archangel Michael, and my spirit team would just get rid of them, like, off you go to where you came from, not to the light, but go to where you came from in the name of Jesus Christ. Leave now, and they go. They don't
Nice.
hang around, not with the spirit team.
Do
So
you
I've become more like, people used to call me Buffy, Buffy the Slayer, because I'm not fearful, not fearful at all, because I've had it my whole life. I got so sick of being poked in the head, in the back, and terrified. I don't have the fear anymore. It's more like you're a pest or a mosquito.
I call them
And
fleas.
our guides are always going to protect us, and the angels as well. Like the Archangel Michael was like my boyfriend for many years. He was always there.
Oh, is there? I
Because
know
angels have such powerful energy.
they do.
And what's to be fearful? And, you put your protection on, your white light. I always wear my protection, and nothing scares me. I have such a strong, because I've been doing it for so long, it's kind of like I'm hypnotized. I don't have any fear.
Well, how do you train other people not to fear when they haven't had the experience that you've had?
I don't train people with rescue. I just write about it. I write books about it, and like I'll train them while I'm doing it. I'll tell them what to do, and I always tell them how important the white light is for protection. Using the white light, wrapping it around you, and cloaking. How energy can save
I
you.
train my students never to use the white light. It is really actually difficult to use the white light because the spirits are actually attracted to the white light, and most people end up with attachments. They can use.
I think it's your belief.
It's a projection more than else, but using like a protection color, Archangel Michael's color, Christ consciousness color, the color of love, to project your intention in your auric field. But using white light can actually be very damaging, especially when attachments or when spirits are trying to find the white light, they're just going right into it. But using white light outside of your space is such a beautiful, powerful force of energy.
Well, that's how I was brought up. I was brought up in the churches. I went through all the churches, and that's what she talked about, using white light and cloaking. Like I put a blue cloak on for psychic attack on the top. And that works. I think whatever works.
Whatever works.
And because I'm sort of brainwashed by using that, it works for me. But we all have our different beliefs, Amy. Yeah. And it's always interesting to learn new things, isn't it? So what you've just said to me is really interesting. I think, but it's whatever works for you, because we're working in uncharted waters.
We are. We really are.
It's not a game.
No, not at all, especially when you're dealing with a lot of wounded souls that are.
And if you believe that, that's your belief, and you stand by that because that's what you do. So that's a beautiful thing. Right. So it's whatever works for you.
Do you have any, cases that you really remember? Any stories?
I've had so many cases. Like, first of all, I used to go to people's places, and I've actually been thrown. I've been thrown in a room, like thrown from the other side. I do a lot of stage club shows, like mediumship shows in clubs, I remember one show I was doing, there was this nasty, painful spirit. He kept getting in my microphone. So every time I try and talk, you know how they get into the electricity?
Oh,
or
yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk and they'd turn off. The music would stop and start. And I thought, what the hell's going on? So I went out the back in interval, like after the first, I had two sets. The second set, this is in a club. I went out the back and I thought, somebody's here. I've got an earthbound spirit here. Suddenly this chair came flying down from the top of the cupboard and landed on my head. Like the spirit threw it at me and I landed on the ground. And then it made me more furious. And then I opened up and I saw him. And so then I crossed him over. And then I went back, did the show, no problems with the microphone, the music. And I said to the club owner, I said, what the hell happened out there? Who's the old man with the bald head? And he was on the stage. He goes, oh, that's the singer who died there last year. He had a massive heart attack and he died on the stage. I was obviously angry that I was taking his space.
Oh, obviously.
That's what it was about. I think it was a jealousy thing. It was funny though. And I thought, right. Because I saw him, and I got angry. I said, how dare you throw that? I can see you. So I'm chasing him. I got rid of him. These are just stories, And a lot of people, I do houses, but I'll do it over the phone remotely overseas here in Australia. And I generally get them to start from the front door. And when I go to the front door, all my guides, they come and line up at the front door with me. Right. And then I'll go room by room. And actually I'll walk into a room and before I see the spirit, I'll burp. I know it sounds terrible. I burp, like it goes right into my soul. Like, bleh. I go, oh my God. And then I'll see the spirit like standing next to the window. And then I'll bring down the light and get them to go into the light. Open your eyes, you're dead. For the dark spirits, I just send them off. Like, I don't know whether have you had a lot of dark spirits? Have you heard of the shadow people?
Absolutely. Yeah.
With the shadow people, they're tricksters and they go for children. They're the boogeyman under the bed, right?
Yeah.
So I send them, I just say, go to where you came from. But once they get detected, if they're not allowed to stay, they have to go. So they do go. Right. They generally go to the ground.
Oh, yeah.
The first time I saw a shadow person was, I was at a trance class. This is in my earlier development. And back in those days, we always used to smoke cigarettes. We're out the back having a ciggy. And then suddenly against this wall, I saw these weird shadow people, like these, they were elongated. They looked very alien and they looked like they had top hats on. It was quite comical in a way, like top hats. And they were sort of shadows going up and down. I thought, what the hell's that? And the energy felt very ominous. And my guide said, oh, they're shadow people. You can't send them into the light. You need to send them to where they came from. And that's my first. And it's funny because where they were standing on a wall where apparently this woman lived near a place where they sold drugs. These people that sold drugs and they were criminals. So obviously these dark energies were attracted to those people. But they never followed me or anything. But then often, oh, my child's traumatized, I'd go into a home and not often, but sometimes I've had a few cases where I've actually found shadow people living under the bed. They've actually followed them from other homes. Right. Like they may have moved and the shadow person has gone with the child. But once you command them to go, they go. They're not allowed to come back. It's a universal law. So I've had a lot of success with that sort of thing, but they're horrible, horrible. I've heard them described as like an alien being, but I don't know. That doesn't gel with me. I just can't describe what it is.
Well, I know what my guides have said that they've been, but I don't know if your guides have explained them to you, because there are many different actual classifications and species of shadow people out there.
I'm sure there are. Yeah. But, you meet a lot of people, you hear a lot of stories. I mean, I don't know anybody else who I can talk to about it here, really, shadow people and that, but I have been to a conference. I've been to a conference. I used to go to a lot of conferences and that, and this American lady she wrote a book. She was talking about, she thinks they're alien species, but look, I've channeled a lot of alien beings and I didn't pick that up. It didn't gel with me what she said. I just thought, no, they're just dark spirits.
They're either fragmented souls or manifested thought forms that are created through manifested energy. They've been around here for a very long time.
Correct. They're horrible, horrible, ghastly things. And they seem to like to terrorize children. And
Yeah.
they'll stay with that child for a very, very long time.
Right.
You can't just smoke them out either. They're
No.
not going to be smudged or smoked at. You actually have to command them to go,
Mm.
to where they came from. You have to command them out. Otherwise, they will just slither away and hide.
But that's if you're able to command them to go. A lot of people don't realize, and they'll actually jump through the generations from, parent to child. And that's what I call ancestral attachments.
Okay.
Happens.
I can understand that once you command them to go, because that's the law of karma. Once you command them to go, they're gone. The other thing, though, you can see attachments. I do a lot of work in people's auras. You can see attachments in their auras, what you're talking about.
Right.
And I do the same thing. It's sort of, like an exorcism in a way, right? Where you just close the eyes and you imagine yourself in a white room. And as you're standing that's the aura. And as they're standing in the white room, you look to the left. Do you feel anything there? Oh, I see a dark. We'll tell them to go, tell them to where they came from. I do that a lot too with people too. And that will actually get rid of any entity attachments.
Right. That's if it's in the auric field. If it's embedded into a chakra system or energetic body, they're a little bit more difficult to kind of push out of, but it's great to get them when they're still in the auric field. They haven't completely embedded.
I've been pretty lucky. I did a lot of that because I've had a business. Well, I closed down my office because I used to do a lot of homeopathic remedies in conjunction with those techniques, and hypnotherapy. I'm a hypnotherapist as well, so I take them to a deeper state.
Right.
It's not just stand in the white room. I'd actually hypnotize them down to it, so then they could work on it at a deeper level, and also in conjunction with natural therapies like bark flowers and Australian bush flowers.
Really, I haven't heard of that.
Oh yeah, bark flowers. I was in Scandinavia. I used to work as a nurse in the late 70s, and I studied with a naturopath over there while I was nursing at the hospital, and I studied bark flower remedies. And when I came back to Australia, I was working with Australian bush vibrational therapies, and you can actually make up these remedies. I've actually got one here. You see that? Make up these remedies. And that also, you can make up remedies for if people have got problems with attachments and stuff. You can actually, there are remedies for that in conjunction with the healing work. Like, for example, in Australia, we have fringed violet. It's an Australian flower, and it's an essence that it acts like a feather duster, or it can actually clears out the aura. You can take it. You know how you have your Epsom salts baths?
Oh, yeah.
And things like that. Yeah, you have a soap to really clean that aura out, with Epsom salts, or sea, you go for a swim in the sea to clear out your energy. Using the bark flowers or the Australian bush flowers are really good, because the Australian bush flowers are very spiritual essences. I use them a lot with my work. I always have. Sort of put them all together. Okay, I've got this, and this. It's not just one thing with me. It's a whole lot of things. I combine all my training into everything I do.
Oh, absolutely. I know a lot of people have kind of the belief system that you use sage or some type of smudging to be able to clear spirits out of your home. What do you think about that?
It works except for earthbound spirits. If you've got a spirit that actually lived in the house and is very settled there and thinks it's still his house, it's impossible, because he'll just go outside till the smoke goes and he'll come back in again. I had a case where I had a really bad spirit. He was actually a pedophile, and he was in the house and he was abusing the children in the house. So I couldn't find him. He kept disappearing. So I finally, I saged the house and I stood outside, and then I went back inside when this smoke had cleared, and I could hear him walking outside, and then he came inside and he sat down again, and that's when I got him. He was weak.
Wow.
What they do, they wait outside. If it's just a wandering spirit, someone that's followed you from the hospital or the shopping centre or the airport, where a lot of earthbound spirits are, spirits, the wandering spirits, I call them, they're easy to get rid of, because they don't even know where they are. They're like, like car accidents. They're sort of, often you'll see a car accident, you see the body there, and then you see the body, the man staggering around. So he'll just follow someone and you'll take him home. That's a wandering spirit. If they have a fixation to the house where they've lived there and it's their house, they're not going to go, because they still think it's their house, and it'll come up when you're having renovation problems.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll try and renovate a house and nothing's working, and all you're having problems with the workers, the electricity, the plans, the council, blah, 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 because you usually got the old bugger still living in there. So you go up there, you hunt them down, and then you get rid of them, and then bang. And they'll
Right.
say, but they don't belong here. This is my home. Well, no, you're not. You're dead.
Yep.
They don't realise they're dead, or they don't want to go.
They don't care because, you know,
Or racist too. What are these Chinese doing here?
yeah,
I've had that. Can you
there are
believe it?
belief systems that they carry with them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But the worst one, the worst case, yucky, would have to be the pedophile man, because he was actually interfering with the children in the house.
Oh, yeah.
And the history was, oh yeah, the man who owned the house went to jail because he was a pedophile, the last person who owned it. So that's when we knew, because she said, and I was wondering why he was interfering with the children. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, yeah. You get to step into their intention and figure out exactly
Rotty
what
world,
they're there for. Yeah.
rotty world. And he was or you know, priests, that sort of thing. I've had a lot of priests come and, you know, I'll cleanse the house. Nothing against the church, they, you know, respect. I'll come and clear the house for you, and they do nothing. And the people give them all this money. Or you get the scammers.
We get
You
a
get scammers.
yeah.
I've gone out west and, you know, I went to this Indian house and, oh, can you help us, please? We've been paying this Indonesian man $3,000 a month because he says if we don't, he'll stop clearing the house. It's like, I'm going to put a curse on you, give me $10,000.
Really?
Yeah, I've had yes. And I said, listen, I'm coming here today. This is how much I charge, not much. This is for my petrol or whatever. I don't charge a lot. And I'm going to get rid of this with the Indonesian man. Forget it, because he hasn't done anything. Because all the spirits, you've got 6 spirits in your house. They're still here. He's done nothing. Trust me. He's a scammer. Well,
Right.
but won't he hurt us? Because he said that he'll get the spirits to come for us. He never, you know, they're scammers. There's a lot of scammers around, or
There
people who
are.
say they can do this and that. Or
Right.
you might get a, you know, I'll wear a spirit team. We're going to come and check out your house. They'll tell you that who's there, but they don't actually do the rescue work.
No.
They just say, oh, you've got a few spirits there. So what? You didn't rescue anyone. Or just give it a sage. That's not going to do anything.
Well, speaking of the house clearing, what do you think about paranormal teams coming in doing investigations?
What can I say? You know, what for?
Something
What's
nice
it going to do? They need a rescue. So what? Because the person already knows that they've got a spirit in the house, because that's why they're ringing you.
Right. Exactly.
And the other thing I've had too, I have to say, Amy, oh, you're the 6th person who's come to this house. Are you sure you can do it?
Right.
Really? I'm so sorry. And oh, did your uncle die? Yeah, he had cancer, right? Oh, he's over there. That's what your spirit is. So you get over there and you get, why couldn't anybody else do that? And I'm so sorry. There's a lot of charlatans out there. They don't have the spirit team. They just, and the other thing is they're charging money each time they go. Back again, charging money, which is another thing I've seen.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know these paranormal teams do have great intentions to be able to provide some type of proof of the paranormal activity. But as you said, these homeowners already know that there's something going on.
Yeah. Look, I think with ghost tours, look, they're showing people that they're real. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. Because a lot of those ghost tours are actually just residual energy.
Right.
There's no spirit there. It's just a residual energy. Like, you know how it loops, goes round and around.
Exactly.
It's just an old energy that's looping around. There's actually no spirit there. They've already gone, but it's just the old residual energy, right? Or you might have, you know, things like that. And they point it out, and you can get an experience from that. But as for, to me, I think it's like a zoo. I wouldn't go. I've had people say, oh, can you come and, I want to set up a ghost tour business. Can you come and tell me what spirits are there? I said, no, because if I do, I'll get rid of them for you. I don't believe in these poor souls being stuck here living in the astral world.
Right. But there are a lot of people out there like to keep them for financial gain and popularity as well.
Yeah, I understand. I've worked with people like that, and I'll do it for a while because I've done a lot of medium shows with them and that. And it's funny because when your time's up, you don't seem to get the work anymore. Because I think spirit does it. Like if my rescue team doesn't want me to work with them, they'll either turn on me or I won't see them again. Have you noticed that?
Oh, they pull it right out of you. Nope.
Yeah.
With that.
The spirit team comes in and says, well, you're not working with them anymore. You know, it's sort of, otherwise you would. Otherwise the doors would be open, right?
What I, yeah.
With that.
You
It's the
know,
spirit
what
guides that are running the show.
you know when you have like a crystal or a necklace or something, and then all of a sudden it breaks or falls and you lose it, and then your guides are like, "Oh, you don't need that anymore." I'm like, "It was expensive. You
Yeah.
didn't break it. You didn't need to get me to lose it." They do
You know
things.
what the funniest thing was? Back in the day, I used to wear this ridiculous cross around my neck, and I used to have holy water and that. You know how you learn.
Oh yeah.
Years, you're learning. Anyway, I walked into this house and there was this man who hung himself. And that the people rang up, "We're terrified. We've lost our work. The dogs have died." You know how they sometimes kill animals, the spirits? This angry man hung himself out the back. He killed the dogs. The house was a wreck. You could smell the paranormal energy, like in the house, the smell. You could smell it. It sort of stinks, that stinky smell. I could smell it. My nose was running. It was like this. And I knew something was there. I couldn't find him anywhere. I'm walking around and I had this cross on, and he appeared suddenly in front of my face. And I thought, oh, and then I said, "Go to the light, you're dead." And he just grabbed the cross off my neck. And next thing, the cross is being thrown across the room, the beads, and the women went, "Ah!" And they ran out of the house, And then I realized how ridiculous it was to have this cross, this holy water, which does nothing, And then I said, "Come on." And then he was very upset, this spirit man. And I said, "You're dead." And he had a lot of problems. He was taking drugs and he was very confused. And I said, "Look, you're dead. Your loved ones are waiting for you on the other side. I'm going to bring down this beautiful light. Look up into the light and your loved ones are waiting." I had to coax him into the light. And then, poof, he was gone. Right. And the whole house, all that heavy, dark energy suddenly shifted. Right. The smell, stinky bum, pooey smell disappeared. And the sun started shining. The light came in all around. It gave me goosebumps, and it was just so joyous. And it was like these dotties were everywhere. You know that sensation when you see the dotties come in, the lights, these beautiful lights. It was so beautiful. It was like, and we're all there, "Oh my God, look at that." Everyone could feel it in the room. And then she rang me about 2 weeks later and she said her husband got a job. Everything was going well. They couldn't believe how no one had ill health. It was just incredible. It's like they were in a very dark space for such a long time. Wow. And unless it happens to you, who's going to believe it? That's why a lot of people say, "Oh, that's rubbish. We don't believe that." Unless it happens to you, Amy, how are you ever going to believe this stuff?
That's hard. It's very hard to prove in what we do. We don't have the validation. Proof is in the pudding. As much.
Like, for example, spirit orbs. That's validation of spirits, right?
Apparitions, orbs, mists.
Can you see that? That's a spirit orb here.
Yep.
Yeah, how thick it is. That's what I call a ghost orb. Or otherwise you get those black orbs. Have you seen the black orbs?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, when you're going to yucky places and you see these big, you can see it with the eye. So these big black orbs hanging around. Yeah, right. But with the ghost orb, they're big, yellow, thick and chunky. Whereas spirit orbs are more lighter, like, I don't know if you can, they're nature orbs. See the lights on that? They're very light. They're nature orbs. Can you see that?
Oh, there they are, yeah. Yeah.
See how light they are? They're nature orbs. They're different types. And then you get your, loved ones. Oh, here's one of a loved one. This is quite amazing. If you blow it up, see the blue and the pink?
No, I see the blue. Can you raise it just a little bit more? Where's the pink?
See that?
Oh, there it is. Oh, nice.
That's a spirit person. That was actually his relative.
Yep, I'm feeling that person's crossed.
Yeah, that was just a visiting. And it was so beautiful. And you could feel the energy with the orbs too. You can feel the energy. Like often when I run seances, and often there's a lot of orbs there, but not ghost orbs, because I generally clear my space before I open up the seances.
Right.
And so I get rid of the ghosts. If there's any ghosts in the house or the energies that shouldn't be there, they go. And then I open up the space and you have all the people that are passed, the loved ones come in and for the seances and that, for the students and that. I have a closed group. I'm a physical medium, but I don't allow other people in. I've just got a closed group and we work with spirits from the other side. So I know a lot of people do that for entertainment, have seances and stuff, but I don't do that. I'm very private about that. I've been doing it for like 18 years. I feel I've only done it because it's helped me communicate better to the other side, and also to know my guides a lot better.
Right.
Because it helps you really make this solid contract with your guides.
Well, I know in the spiritualist churches here in the States, they do a lot of table tipping. Have you done that before?
Yeah, we start off the table tipping, and with table tipping, like I've had this spinning table with a trumpet on it, right? I go into a trance state when I do my physical meeting. I sit on the side and we have the seance going with the trumpet on the table, and I have spirit children come in. The spirit children spin the table. They don't tip it, they spin it like really fast.
Right.
Because I work with a team of spirit kids in my seances, and the funny thing was, years ago I used to do a lot of voluntary work for the Children's Hospital. I do a spirit show and give the money to them. Next thing, I had Johnny and the gang from the hospital come in, and we want to work with you. And they're all squeaky little voices, and all the people, you know, my sitters couldn't believe these kids. They could actually see the kids pushing the table round and around.
Yeah.
And different beings coming in. It's quite incredible. Look, I know this sounds crazy, but we've even had spaceships come in.
Really?
Yeah, we had because I actually wrote a book on ETs, and I've been interested in that from being a channeler. And we've even had a spaceship come in, healing guides from the Andromeda system come in and do healing on the sitters at the end.
Right.
So it's just another world, isn't it? You know, there's so much out there. So it makes me laugh when I think, oh, we don't believe in that. Really, you're limiting yourself. Right. Because it's a vast consciousness. We're working in an uncharted waters. Right. You have your rules, your protection. You have different rules and what you need to do, but it's so much out there. I mean, I'm in my 60s, and I've been doing this since I was in churches, since I was 17, and constantly from a kid. And I'm constantly learning the wonderment of spirit. It's amazing.
Wow.
And you know, going to funerals, Amy, and seeing that person standing by their coffin.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many times have you seen that? A loved one standing, and they look younger. They're standing next to their coffin.
I can't go in funeral homes at all. Way too much.
Well, they're walking around, and, you know, they're looking forward to the celebration.
Right.
They always hang around until they have the funeral, and then they cross, and then they come back, and then they'll go.
Now, a particular subject that's very sensitive to some, I know what my guides have said, and the experience that I've had. I have a lot of people coming to me and asking me about suicides and being earthbound. Have you found that a lot of suicides become earthbound?
No, absolutely rubbish.
Right.
Most people cross when they die. Right. Earthbound spirits, the spirit rescue we do, it's a majority of different types of people. It's not just suicides. Most suicides go straight away.
Right.
It's very few. It's absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
The only thing with suicides is they've got to come back and do the contract again. You know?
Well, unless the contract was to take their life, we don't know what their contract is.
Yeah, but when I worked with the hypnotherapy with the Michael Newton Institute, we went to the Life Between Lives. And I did a lot of research with that, and it was just interesting, and sort of opens your eyes about different spiritual contracts and things. We never know it all, as I said, but I got a lot of insights from that. So that's why that work really interested me, and that's why I studied with that academy, because I wanted to know more about the afterlife. And why do spirit people look young? Like, I saw my cousin, she was 50 when she died of cancer, and she looked like she was in her 20s standing by her coffin. I wanted to know more. So I did the Michael Newton and Dolores Cannon, you know, Life Between Lives, and I learned a lot about different soul groups and the contracts and the life review, you know, all that sort of stuff. Because I just wanted to understand more about what I was seeing. Well, so to give me an understanding, because I'm supposed to be helping people, but I want to understand it myself, because I was doing a lot of things I didn't understand.
Right.
You know. Right. You know, where's the rules? Where's the principles? What does that mean? What's the life review? What are the soul groups, and what are the spiritual contracts? But the thing about suicide, absolute rubbish. Oh, you know, you're going to be earthbound. No, very few.
Right. Sounds like you asked as many questions as I did to my guides.
Oh, always.
Why?
We're constantly learning. We're constantly learning. We don't know it all. I mean, I told you I'm in my 60s and I'm still learning. I don't know it all.
No, we can't.
And you know what I love, though? I love it how our clients push us along. Like
Right.
each case is unique and different, and it's the only job I've ever had in the world that you never got tired of.
No. How can you get tired of helping people and seeing such a wonderful journey of
But with
these?
spirits, so like, with earthbound spirits, like I think, oh, geez, I've never seen that. That's interesting. And my guide's telling me. And the other thing too, I have to say, for years I studied with different teachers, and it's gone to the stage now I just talk to my guide who stands on my left side, and he tells me everything I need to know.
Right. Right.
I don't go to teachers anymore. Haven't done for a very long, very, very long time, because my guide knows more than them.
Well, everybody should go to their guides. They should be the ultimate teacher for everyone.
Mm.
I teach classes as a foundation to give them some structure, terminology, things that they need to know
Yeah.
so that what they're doing is accurate. But then they go to their guides for specific details, personal approaches that they need to do with their own particular energy and frequency and the things that they're accustomed to doing. So I always say that spirit guides are they're wonderful teachers. And as you know, experience is the best teacher of them all. Don't you think?
Absolutely. The other thing I want to touch on, have you got time?
We got time.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to touch on, there's another case I was thinking of. A friend of mine was working for the Salvation Army in the Cross, the red light area.
Mm-hmm.
And he was quite spiritual. He said to me, he rang me up one day and he was very distressed. And I said, what's the matter? And he said, I've got this like a sticky, dirty fungus thing, and it's on my chest. It's like an octopus. He said, I said, where did you get it from? It was a dark mass of energy he'd picked up because he was working on the streets in this red light area. And he said, I can't get it off. And I said, well, just put some light into it and try and pull it out. And he said, I can't. He said, can you come and help? He said, oh, I've never seen anything like it's like an octopus black mass on his chest. And when you touched it, you could feel the mass. It was sticky, yucky. It was quite incredible. That was another lesson. So together with the two of us, we sent it back to where it came from. We're trying to send it into the light,
Yeah.
but it was a dark mass.
Mm.
And we didn't understand. That's when the guy said, no, you won't go to the light because it doesn't come from the light. It comes from the dark side. You need to send it to the earth, send it to where it came from, send it into the earth, to the elementals. So both of us together, took two of us to get rid of this thing. It was absolute, and it was the most amazing experience, I have to say, because I've never seen anything like that in my life, this sticky, malicious, menacing energy that was obviously floating around in the ether with all the drug addicts and the alcohol. You can feel the energy.
Right.
Because often as mediums, when we go into these areas, we're all empaths, this work we do, we feel, we're empaths. Often we sweep the area. Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
Like you might walk into this area and then as you're walking, you're sweeping the energy and you're accumulating this energy because you're actually sweeping it and they're going towards you because we're massive lights.
Right.
As mediums, we have a massive light. And so they're drawn towards us. So we're collecting them. So what I generally do when I'm finished in places like that, I'll give myself an Epsom salts bath. If I have a few spirits hanging around, I'll clear them. Or in a healing practice, I used to bring down columns of light every day where I worked.
Nice.
And anything, I'd flick it out and wash my hands and flick it out, sort of thing. Just different types of protection. But that black sticky thing was pretty weird. It was pretty out there. You could see it like through your third eye. You could see this big black mass. And when you sort of touched it, it was very sticky, like sticky, yucky. Took it out. We had it in our hands. I don't even know. I can't even tell you what it was. It was just an accumulation of dark, yucky, pooey energy.
I've seen a lot of that. They usually come through looking like ticks or mosquitoes as well. They come in
Right.
station, sometimes sea creatures and sometimes bugs. Yeah, the little lower level
Interesting stuff.
entities. Oh yeah,
Isn't it?
they like me for some reason. I don't know why, but
Well, that must be all I can say is that's your forte, because our guides take us in the direction we're meant to go.
Right.
Like with me, this is what you're meant to do. You work remotely now and you can do this or whatever. The other thing too is I never thought I could do like land clearing, land clearing. Because I thought, as a respect, I thought it's best if the Indigenous person does it. And I found that, I don't have any problems doing that. And what I do to get rid of, like, say, for example, Aboriginal souls, lost souls on the land, I always call for the chief to come in, the chief of the I call for the chief to come in,
Right.
the elder of the tribe in spirit to come and take his men.
Right.
And that's what works for me. And I often use gum leaves, dried gum leaves.
No, I haven't heard of those.
In Australia, in the bush, and to get rid of Aboriginal spirits, I call the elder in from the spirit world, and I use, I'm going to smoke the place, smoke it. I'll use gum leaves, and that's what I've worked with Aboriginal elders, and they use that as well. They have their different ways, with their ceremonies and stuff. So it's about respect. So they can teach you so much. Well, you have the American Indian.
We do, very much.
Yeah, so I've actually been to Vegas and been to those, those places around there with those people, different places. San Francisco I've been to, the Red Forest, places like that. I think I've had a lot of past lives in America in these. I'm very attracted to Indigenous people.
Wow. I lived in Vegas for a little bit.
Pardon?
I lived in Vegas for a year.
What are that tribe called? They're little people. I've sort of went to one of their camps when I was years ago.
There's the pygmies.
I can't remember. Hopi.
Hopi?
Hopi, the Hopi Indians.
There's a lot of tribes. There's a lot.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I met the Hopi, Hopi, and they showed you different ceremonies and stuff. It was beautiful.
Right.
The reason I'm attracted to that is because my main guide is an Indian chief called Whitefeather. And he materialised to me probably when I was in my 40s, because I could always feel. And then when I started doing trance, he came into my body, this massive energy came into my body. He's a big, big Indian man. And he couldn't talk, it was like, coming through. Like his energy was so massive. He had a big headdress, and the next thing I'm playing this invisible drum. And it was quite funny. And then I got to learn about him, because I always wondered who I was talking to. It was the Indian chief. Wow. And he told me that I'd had a past life with him and I was his son. And because for years I've always been attracted to, America and the Indigenous people, all the places, the nature places, in Australia too.
That's interesting.
Traveled a lot.
I've had past lives in Australia, and I've seen my past lives in Australia.
Interesting.
I don't know why, but I'm in a cave somewhere a long time ago.
That's Aboriginal past life.
Yeah.
Me too. My husband and I, we've done a lot of travel to all those Indigenous people in Australia. It's amazing. It's got the most unique energy in these places because it's very high frequency. I even did a mediumship 2 years ago at Uluru, Ayers Rock. I went up there, I had 350 people, and I thought, I'm a bit scared because I'm working in a vortex, and it was incredible. Like it was almost like I could feel the spirit energy lifting me out of my body and up, like doing all these connections. It was the most incredible, extraordinary experience working in a vortex. I was worried that things would go wrong, that I'd have problems with the connections, with the spirit people for this show. Opposite, it was electrified.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Never alone.
Because vortexes are amazing, aren't they?
I was just talking about vortexes in my rescue class tonight. A lot of information about vortexes.
And the portals. Do you have like portals where like you'll go into a house and what happens is the ghosts keep coming in all the time and you don't know why? And then I actually rub my hands together, my hand chakras, and I feel along the roof and you can actually find breaks. You know how you find breaks in the aura? So it's a portal. You'll see a portal, and that's where they keep coming in the break, the spirits. I've worked with those too in houses.
Wow.
So I close them down by rubbing my hands together and putting in energy, and it actually sort of, you feel a pop, like a pop, and it closes down. So the spirits can't keep coming in, because I've had a lot of interesting experiences, houses like that, old houses and that, where constantly another one and another spirit, they keep coming through this portal all the time. So you've got to close your portals down. They're very easy to detect because you can feel a breeze on your palm. When I use my hands. Some people might use one of those, what are they called? Those sticks, that.
Dowsing rods.
Sorry?
The dowsing rods and the pendulum.
Yeah. I use it just with my hands and my legs. My legs are like a barometer,
I see that.
I work with dowsers. I can't use it's me. It's my legs or my hands. It's just different things. I've worked with them, but it's interesting stuff, isn't it? Dowsing and that.
Well, it sounds like
picking
you have a wealth of knowledge, and I know you have a book coming out called Spirit Rescue. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yeah, the Spirit Rescue book, that's with Llewellyn, that comes out in April. That's just a lot of case studies. It's just different types of stories, how I first started seeing spirits, two types of spirits in my grandmother's house, which was haunted. There was a lot of deaths in her house when I was a kid, and also my parents' house. And I talk about the introduction, then I go into the different types of spirits and why we have earthbound spirits. And the main thing is earthbound spirits are not pets. They don't belong here. They have to go. If you know you've got a spirit, get help. Let it go, because it's not fair, is it? Because they need to cross over to the other side and complete their karmic cycle.
Right. Not
And
used.
they live in a terrible astral world, don't they?
Yeah. Well, the many levels of the astral world, and they find their way into cracks in the different vibrational frequencies and densenesses of the astral world. A lot of people call it purgatory. I don't like calling it that.
Have you ever tried astral traveling?
All the time, a little bit too much.
Yeah. I found that's when I started to know that, the astral's not a nice place. There are lots of creepy things out there, right? Floating around.
That's why we try to go a little bit higher than, we normally project out with the rescue work. Go a little higher. It's a much better place.
It's very nice talking to. It's good to talk to another spirit rescue person, because I don't really talk to spirit rescue people here in Australia. I feel quite isolated.
Oh, you need to talk to us. Like I said, we have thousands of rescue mediums on the rescue medium side.
I'm very open to learn more things. I'm a very open person like that, because to me, I need more and more information. I love it. I've studied most of my life, starting from a nursing, being a nurse at 17, and constant studying with hypnotherapies and studies, and I'm constantly want to know more, only to become a better medium, better spirit rescue person. I'm open to all sorts of new learning and education.
I think
so. It's lovely to connect to you and your people.
And how
because I don't know anyone here in Australia that I actually talk to about this work. I'm so busy. I'm just a work with the guide.
Well, I know how there's a lot of people that watch the show, and this could be posted all over. Some people may want to connect to you. How can they connect to you the best way?
Probably Facebook, I suppose.
It's very useful. Very useful.
Yeah, Facebook's pretty easy for me. I'm just so busy all the time. You probably are too. I don't teach anymore. I write books. I've got another book coming out. I've got a couple of books coming out next year.
Yeah.
So my teaching is now my books, Amy. I don't teach classes anymore.
A wonderful way to teach. It really is. I mean, my guides are all about me teaching instruction and online certification courses and books and everything. So my guides are really pushing me with instruction work and to be a teacher. So
I think so. I get that. That's the next thing that's coming up with you.
Yeah.
And I think you do very well, because I feel that there's only so much you can do. Like, I've become a grandmother now. I don't want to work 6 days a week anymore. I'm a grandmother. I have to look after the baby. I've got to write the books. I've got to do things in the house. It's sort of, you run out of time. I used to work 6 days a week.
Right.
And the best thing that happened to me with rescue work is I do it remotely now. I can just get on the phone. I can go anywhere in the world and, go to the front door, and then I can just do it like that. It just saves so much petrol money and time.
It really does.
Fast. And how I discovered that was years ago. I was working on a TV show late at night called Psychic TV in Australia. This is probably about 10, 15 years ago. And I was going to people's houses, and I was doing it takes a lot of time and energy, right, when you go to people's houses.
Yeah.
And I was on the line, and I kept getting these phone calls. Spirit must have set it up. It was all these people living in farmhouses. Oh, we've got a spirit in the house. Can you get rid of it? Oh, I don't know how to do that. But next thing, the spirit guide said, yes, you can. This is what you do. And I got the information. And now go to the front door. And I was told them what to do. And that's how I realised I could do the remote viewing.
There you go. Yeah.
Because it was like spirit takes you to where you need to go.
Always trust always trust your guides.
Whereas my groups turn more into books, because there's so many people out there that want to know.
There are.
And are open to information.
And I think
they're not just going to say that's not real.
You think about teaching then, because you and I've been doing the rescue work for a long time. We're here to help the future generations of the rescue.
That's why I do the books.
Right.
And also I have an online show on one of my Facebook pages I do once a fortnight. I talk about a lot of things. I started doing it in the pandemic because, first of all, we had the bushfires here in Australia where we lost millions of koalas. It was horrific living through the fire. All our nature was burnt to the ground, all the animals. It was the most horrific time. And after that, we had the pandemic where I call it the reset time, where we all went into our homes, and it was good in a way because it taught me that, to take time. That's when I did a lot of writing. I wrote 4 books in those 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, in the pandemic, I was just constantly, they were downloading me, and I'm constantly, yeah, okay, give me a break, please. No, wait, okay, it's sort of coming down.
Yeah.
And then, now we've got the floods in Australia. Can you believe it? Climate change.
Wow.
Climate change, Amy.
Yeah.
It's really bad here. Like, first of all, they got all their homes burnt down, and now it's bloody floods. It's all about the environment, about honouring the environment and just understanding that it's real, and just like Spirit Rescue's real, getting it out there. But a lot of people aren't going to believe it until it happens to them.
It's okay. We're not here to prove it to everyone who doesn't believe it. We're just here to do the work because we know it's the right thing to do.
And the other thing too is your Spirit will only give you what you need to know, what you can do. They'll never push you that you can't do that. Like, what you do is very different to me, but it's because of our guides and what we're working with.
Right.
Just listen to instructions, really, isn't it?
It is, very much so. Well, thank you so much for being on the show and
it's
sharing.
lovely to connect. I'm honoured to talk to you and
it's
to know
fun.
that other light workers out there that are doing this amazing Spirit Rescue work. It's exciting. It's understanding. It's like Harry Potter in a way, isn't it? That there's other people like us out there. We're just not the minority. There are people, and it does exist, and it is our duty to cross them over and to help them.
Right. Well, I'm going to connect you to plenty of them for sure.
Yes.
So thank you so much for being on here with us. And thank you to everyone who watched the episode today. And please reach out to Kerrie if you have any questions about her work and her books, wealth of knowledge there. And I wish everyone a wonderful night, day, wherever you are in the world. And I'll see you next time.
Okay. Thanks very much. And please send me a copy of the replay.
Absolutely. Bye.
I'd love it.